Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. It's yours truly, Carl Ellis. Today we are going to be talking about intrusive thoughts. Now, for us, these are very, very random thought processes that really can, in a way, attack a person. Okay, it's very important. Intrusive thoughts can look like, hurting someone or shouting something inappropriate, or a thought, a religious or moral thought, sexual thoughts that feel wrong or disturbing. They are not desires, they are not intentions. That's the key thing to know about that. And they are not predictions of what you will do. However, the human brain is built in such a way that if you allow those thoughts to keep festering and you do not address them, they can in fact manifest. So it's very important to understand these thought processes and to realize, first of all, that it's not your intention. It doesn't necessarily make you a bad person if you're having these thoughts. The question is, why do they happen? Why do they happen? Well, it could be possibly because they're scanning for danger, imagining a worst case scenario, problem solving constantly. The brain is built in such a way that it is, in fact, built on a worst case scenario because it wants you to survive. So any potential threat, it will magnify that, right? And I'm talking about anxiety and things like this. Why is it always so that if a person says, oh, you know what, you're really good looking, I love the way you look, you're an absolutely gorgeous person, you don't take it as well as you would someone who says, oh, you know what, you're ugly. For some reason that sticks. And that's a phenomenon that we are going to try to find out. Why does it stick? Common conditions with intrusive thoughts kind of envelop themselves around, anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression. Lack of sleep is something that is really, really important for you guys as well. If you're having lack of sleep, that is so horrible. I had that for many, many years. And I realized that what I was eating was in fact causing the sugar levels to rise, and it was keeping me in this kind of mode. And so, these things, you really got to try and address them. You really have to try and address them. Having an intrusive thought does not mean you secretly want it. Does not mean you secretly want it. Does not mean you are dangerous. Does not mean you're a bad person. And it certainly does not mean you'll act on it. But the problem is, with these intrusive thoughts, if they affect you in such a way that it becomes something where you put your focus on, well, we all know what you put your focus on is where you put your energy, right? And if you put so much energy, sometimes these things can manifest. How do you deal with these situations? How does one deal with things like intrusive thoughts? And it's so disturbing that you can't not think about it. You can't not think, oh my God, I feel like such a bad person. I feel like such a weirdo. One thing you should know is that you are not alone. Probably, I would venture to say, and I'm not a psychologist, even though I did study it for 2.5 years and pulled out. I would say 80 to 90% of people have intrusive thoughts. And I think it's just thoughts that come in. But if you're aware of these thoughts, then you will not let it attack you. See, the devil tries to attack through your thoughts. And that's one of the main channels that he uses, is through your thoughts and making you feel guilty and then constantly revisiting. Because each time you revisit, we all know that you start to wire. Almost like learning. You're learning these bad thoughts. So just be aware of that. What makes them worse? Trying to force them away. No, 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 I'm not gonna, because then you start thinking about it, about you're trying to force it away, right? So the brain is so amazing. I love it. Analyzing them repeatedly, that's revisiting them. Really, this is not going to help. Seeking constant reassurance, avoiding situations because of them, mentally arguing with the thought. Now, of course, don't put yourself in the firing line. Don't go to a place where, like, for example, if you're a drug addict, do not go to a place where they're selling crack cocaine and heroin and you're addicted. Avoid those places. Better to be safe than sorry. And try not to mentally argue with the thoughts. I'll tell you what helps is noticing it. Don't argue with it. Don't fight it. Yeah. Let it sit there without you reacting. Okay. That's so important that you do that. You go there and you just say, okay, breathe. This is here. Right? Okay. I'm not going to let it distress me. I'm not going to let it control my thoughts. I'm not going to let it, what do you do? It's a thought that is there, okay? Your intrusive thoughts, I repeat, and I repeat again. It's not about you being a bad person. It's not about you being a bad person. It's just a thought that comes in and more often than not will go, okay? So it doesn't mean you're a bad person. But realize you are not alone in these thoughts, okay? This is so important that you understand that. I tend to deal with intrusive thoughts with, try to go into the spiritual realm because, when you have a thought, it's not a physical thing, right? It's more of a spiritual thing. Where does it come from? The spirit realm. It comes from the spirit realm. No, that's not a good one. It comes from the spirit realm. No, that's really bad. It comes from the spirit realm. That's better. That's a bit more scary, a bit more mystique. So, guys, it's so important. A lot of the times we go to, I'm crazy. A lot of times I go to, spiritual. What is it that's causing these thoughts to come in? We destroy every argument, every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. Take every thought captive. That's crazy. How can you take every thought captive? Does that mean every day you are going to be like, oh, we have, they say we have about 80 to 90,000 thoughts a day. So does that mean we're going to be, addressing every single thought? Well, I believe that the healthiest way to deal with that is to address those thoughts and just give it all over to God. Just say, I give these thoughts over to you. I'm not a perfect person. I give these thoughts over to you. And a lot of the times when you try to push it away, it clings onto you. Yeah. When you try to push it away, it clings onto you. Just let it be. Just let it be there. Just let it be there. It will go. It will go. And if you wrap it every time you have an intrusive thought that you don't want, okay, or you're feeling uncomfortable with, then just wrap it with the word. Don't be anxious for anything, but in everything in meditation, prayer, supplication. The peace which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and mind. Look at that. The peace, this is the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds. So that will guard your heart and your mind, guarded. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. So thinking about such things. The mind is so incredibly wonderful, okay? Do not be conformed to this world. Now, we see in the media, their game is to really put people on the back foot all the time, to stress people out, okay? to cause you to really be stressed and to think about wars and rumors of wars and fear and anxiety and things of that nature. News, incessant news about wars, disease, all these things. And I want to say this. It says here, right? Do not be conformed to this world. So do not be conformed by all the news that you hear, all the negativity, all the things that really are not going to help you. That's going to bring you into a state of survival. Put it all out the window. Obsess yourself daily into good news. And this is why I encourage you to join me every morning for the voice of healing. I'm telling you, it is so good. It is so good for you to join the voice of healing, and for men to join the men's wholeness blueprint. You know, when men come together and we just talk. And so conform not to this world. So beautiful. It's telling you. But be transformed by the renewal of your mind. See right there, the renewal of your mind. That's talking about pruning and rewiring. Right? That's basically what it is right there. It's so beautiful. And so guys, on that, we are talking about intrusive thoughts. I actually like that. Let me play that again. Intrusive thoughts. You have a good life. You have a good brain. You have a great brain. Enjoy your day. And really have a fantastic weekend, guys. It is so important not to let the thoughts control you, but for you to be in control of your thoughts. Do not be conformed, but be transformed by renewal, the pruning, the rewiring of your mind. Okay. You are blessed, guys. Have a great weekend. It's yours truly, Carl Ellis. Have a great one. Love you lots. Be strong. Be blessed. Anyone listens to this, you're going to be blessed this weekend. It's your weekend. You are powerful. You are strong. You are great. Believe in it. Believe in it. Believe in it.